Hey everyone, and welcome back to another live episode of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show here at the Smokin' Studios. Thank you guys so much for coming back to another live show. I took 2 weeks off. I know Bruce is already in the comment section saying, let's roll. Thank you all very much for coming back. I was at a 2-week hiatus. First week, we were at Cigar Fest, where I got to actually meet our guest for tonight. We scheduled the interview a while back, but I got to meet him in person at Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest, which, by the way, if you guys are not, have never been to Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest, this is next to the Great Smoke, which, don't get me wrong, Great Smoke, absolutely the epitome and the pinnacle of a buying experience at an event. Absolutely. Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest is also a very, very good buying event. Next to the Great Smoke being number one, Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest would be number two on that list for a buying event. Really is a lot of fun. Our guest did absolutely fantastic. He took a little hiatus from Cigar Fest due to COVID, came back and absolutely almost sold out of everything. And he actually overbrought. So if you guys are looking for a great cigar, that says a ton. So please, we're going to tell you where to get these cigars and you're going to want to buy. Before I show you what we're smoking, let me go ahead and give a big shout out to all the sponsors that remotely make this show possible. We have BAMF Cigars, ROCF Cigars, Kristoff Cigars, Sagrado Cigars, Micallef Cigars, Pro Family Business, Pro Growth, Pro Cigar Rights. We've got Big Sky. Got to meet Jesse at Big Sky this over at Cigar Fest too. It was great to finally meet him. We have Cornell and Diehl. I got to see the Ladisi team and Robert Caldwell as well at Cigar Fest, which was absolutely fantastic. My favorite is their Autumn Evening. It's the best pipe tobacco you'll smoke, I promise you. Whatever you don't like, send it my way. I'll take it off your hands. La Aurora Cigars, West Tampa Tobacco Company. It was great to see La Aurora and team as well. Nico and Willie, and then Ricky as well as got to also see the big man himself. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to be able to hang out. Sorry, guys, I'm a little thrown off. It's been 2 weeks, and of course, I can't go through an intro without screwing it up. Right? Been doing this 3 freaking years, and I still screw up these damn intros. I don't know why, but I do. All right, that's okay because nobody's here to see the intro. Thank you so much, Steve, over at Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust for the support on the show. So we have a brand new. As you see, the background is a little bit different than normal. It's adjusted a little differently. We have 2 new signs up. We have the BAMF sign, a badass motherfucker cigars, and we also welcome Cigar Clowns is coming on as a supporter of the show. So you will be seeing our new banner, which is right here. Thank you so much, Cigar Clowns and the team over there. Absolutely so excited for this amazing partnership to have with you. All right. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out the guests. Hold on real quick. We've got, hey, Cody, Richard, welcome back. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and bring out our guest, Anto. How you doing, brother?
All right, Ryan, good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry about that intro. I was a little discombobulated. It's been about 2 weeks since I did this show, and I screw it up on a weekly basis, so it just gives everybody something to look forward to every week. So, but
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I tell you, man, it was such a pleasure to meet you in person. And I didn't. I'd only been going to Cigar Fest the last couple of years, and so I didn't know that you attended Cigar Fest for so long.
Yeah,
You said it was since 2012 you've been going to Cigar Fest, right?
yes, right around then. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna go ahead and kick off the question here, the show here with a question, and then we're gonna have you introduce yourself
Sure.
and then introduce what we're smoking tonight. And we're gonna start the show by asking you, how was this year to previous years for Cigar Fest for visualizing inside the industry?
Yeah, so I mean, it has grown every year. It seems like it keeps growing and growing. Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival has been one of the greater shows in the nation as far as cigar buying, and this year did not disappoint for sure. We had a phenomenal time meeting, industry people like yourself, meeting manufacturers, distributors, and of course, end consumers, cigar enthusiasts. The reception to our cigars was phenomenal this year. In the past, we've kind of shown the JM's Dominican line that we also manufacture, but this year was strictly the Española line with our core lines in Maduro and Connecticut, and then of course our limited edition Year of the Dragon, which I'm smoking here today. We did really well with our 4-packs, sample packs of these, and the response was amazing.
Good. So you kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit here on what we're smoking, and that's totally fine. Let's go ahead and jump into the only segment we do here on the show, and that is the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" segment, sponsored by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Thank you so much, Steve. So tell everybody what it is that we're smoking tonight and why this cigar is so special.
So this cigar is really special, first of all, because it's the first limited edition cigar we've ever done in our 28, 29 years in the industry. It seemed like a good year to do it. Year of the Dragon with the fire and the smoke made sense to us. And so, we released our Zodiac sign of Year of the Dragon like almost everybody else. This is a 6x52 Toro. It's a limited edition, only sizes available. Is in a 6x52. Only 500 of these boxes are made. Corojo wrapper, which is from Ecuador. San Andreas Maduro binder, and fillers from Dominican Republic and Pennsylvania. So it's a Criollo 98, and some Pennsylvania tobacco as well as the filler. Medium to full-bodied smoke, probably now is my favorite smoke in our line of cigars.
And if you guys can't get any of them, it's because he doesn't stop smoking them. So because they are limited, the pack he sent me has been burning a hole in my humidor. I've tried the other two, and I just was so excited to try this one. If you guys don't buy the rest of them tonight, there's no guarantee that he's going to save any of them. So, Anto, before we kick the show off a little bit more here, how do people find this cigar? Introduce JM Tobacco and introduce yourself, and then we'll dive in.
Sure thing. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Anto Mahroukian. I'm proud to be part of JM Tobacco, a family business that my father and I have built over the past 30 years. My father started the company in 1996, and I was president soon after in 2006. And as a second-generation tobacconist, I've had the privilege of growing up in the industry, learning the craft, and understanding what cigar enthusiasts really value. And here at JM Tobacco, our goal has always been to create high-quality, consistent products that are accessible to a wide audience. And our flagship Española, it's a testament to our commitment to tradition, innovation, and providing like an exceptional smoke at an affordable price.
So, as you've been in this industry, where I want to start is it's at the beginning. Yeah. Because what always surprises me is when somebody's like, we've been in the industry for 30 years. I'm not saying that I know every brand. I certainly don't. There's tons and tons of brands that have been around for a very long time that I don't know of. But I would think that a brand for 29 years in the US, that's a pretty good lifespan for a cigar company. Did you guys just stay in that California area and that's kind of where you made it? Or like, I just don't feel like I've heard so much about you guys until I saw you on Cigar Prop, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks to Kevin. He got me on, was one of my first media tour shows. And he's the one who recommended your show. I just want to say you've been doing a great job. I know it's been a couple of years. I think 2022 you started, Ryan.
Yeah, no, COVID.
COVID.
It would have been 2021.
2021.
Right? Somewhere about 3 years. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, and it's your show has kind of grown to be like a prominent platform for cigar lovers. Yeah, thank you, and yeah, thanks to Kevin who gave me your information. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, so we've been just grinding in the background, not really doing a lot of these shows. To be honest, as a 17, 18-year-old who started in the industry, I kind of didn't have the knowledge, the expertise to be interviewed, with these, let's call them professionals in the industry. I just didn't feel comfortable. And my father, being a first generation immigrant, also was like not very skilled to be answering questions and talking in front of a camera. He just wasn't comfortable doing that. So we kind of just let the product kind of speak for itself. We also were very lucky to get started in the industry when we did in 1996. Because you could have put anything in a box and it would have sold, to be honest, back then.
Yeah, you caught the tail end of the boom.
We did. Well, we started in around 94, 95 doing our blend and kind of released our Española line in 96. And we were fortunate enough to find a manufacturer who was willing to take us up because, as you know, at that time, shortage of tobacco, shortage of rollers, just a shortage of everything. And for them to kind of take this line up and manufacture for us was a blessing. So yeah, sold through our first batch of 10,000 cigars my dad ordered, and then kind of just kept grinding. And then after the boom, the bust hit, and kind of needed to pivot a little bit. So we just didn't really put ourselves out there, The Tobacconist magazine was a huge magazine who helped us out in the beginning. I don't even know if it's around anymore. Smoke magazine also was one that helped us out in the beginning. So we did have our kind of publicity back then, but it was through articles, it was through magazines. This kind of face-to-face wasn't even around back then. I think that most of the stuff was kind of on talk radio, which we did a few shows on. But yeah, I think most of our customers and the people who know JM Tobacco know us as value-priced cigars who manufacture the JM's Dominican line of cigars.
And so now you guys are upping the ante with that, with the Year of the Dragon, the limited run. We had a question here. Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Yes, don't expect me to do math in my head. I self-finance software for a living. Can't do math. Fortunately, I don't have to. The software does it. But Bruce asks, and I don't think they did because everybody seems to have a Year of the Dragon. But was there any copyright issues? I don't think so for Year of the Dragon, right?
No copyright issues. No. People were claiming the rights to the Year of the Dragon, but unfortunately, it's a Chinese zodiac calendar year, and it is the Year of the Dragon. So maybe if I was selling the Year of the Dragon outside of 2024, it might have been an issue. But since we are in the Year of the Dragon, it's totally fine.
It's a non-issue. Yeah, I didn't think it would be any kind of a. It just wouldn't make sense if that was a problem.
Right.
Lord knows there's more than enough trademark issues in the cigar world that people go after. We don't need.
Unfortunately.
We don't need the zodiac calendar to be next.
That's right.
So, all right, Bruce, drink, by the way, because I guess the game is when I say so, Bruce wants to make it. I say that a lot. So I'm going to say it a lot more now, specifically this episode. But as you guys are coming up, you're super young, coming into this. You guys also have other businesses that you operate and run. So it's not like JM Tobacco was the sole breadwinning company of the family, which is, I think, probably why it was, you know, kind of not hard pushed a ton back in the day, because you
Mhm.
guys were doing a lot of other things that were the big breadwinners. I mean, you shared a little bit with me. I will let you go into that if that's what you want to share as well. But
Yeah,
obviously, those other businesses were much bigger and up and coming, right?
for
Quickest way
sure.
to be a millionaire in the tobacco world is to start with two, from what I've been told. Um, so as you guys are coming up, you're getting into this world. Why? Why jump into tobacco? You guys were successful before this.
Yeah.
Was this kind of a pet project that just turned into something?
Yeah. So my dad has a passion for cigars. He's always had passion for tobacco. He was a smoker his whole life. Smoked a couple of packs of Marlboro Reds a day, and then he had some health scares in the early '90s. Suffered a heart attack and had to stop smoking. So he picked up smoking cigars. And actually, this brings us to our origin story of JM Tobacco, of how I bought my father two Connecticut wrapper cigars for his birthday in 1994. This was November of 94. I was entering my senior year in high school. And I bought him two cigars for his birthday. I said, "Hey, Dad, you're going to love this." My cousin Joey, who had a smoke shop at the time, I went and visited him. He said, "This here, take these for your dad. He's gonna love it." So gave it to him. He smoked it the next day, and he said, "Wow, these are amazing cigars. Where did you get them from? Pick me up a box." And I told him, I said, "Dad, I spent $20 for that cigar. That's $500 for a box." And his eyes got like, "What? You
96, that's a lot, or 94, that's a lot of money for a
That
cigar.
definitely is a lot of money. Yeah, one of the more prominent brands out there that are still around. Um, so he said, "What the heck? Why?" My dad's a manufacturer from heart. He's been manufacturing jewelry his whole life. He's in the jewelry business. He's still in the jewelry business as well. So at the time, he was manufacturing rope chain jewelry, which was huge in the '90s. Ice Cube, Ice T, Mr. T.
Every
Uh,
celebrity had it.
yeah, they all had it, the thick ones, the skinny ones. So his brother ran a jewelry factory in Dominican Republic, very close to Santiago, Tamboril, which is the manufacturing capital of Dominican Republic. And he bought that box and he sent it out to his brother. He said, "Hey, go find somebody who makes something like this, similar to this." And we did. We found somebody. And my dad said, "Okay, these work. These are really good. Let's order 10,000 cigars." So his first initial order of the cigars were in the Connecticut wrapper, 10,000 cigars.
Hold on. You know what I feel like right now? I feel like the opening scene of Anchorman, where Will Ferrell's just special report, cannonball. I mean, my gosh, talk about like not like going in feet first. Your dad went in head first. 10,000 cigars. Jeez,
you
that
know,
is a ton.
and that sums up my dad. My dad is a head first, jump in, ask how
That's
deep the
like
pool is later. That
that's
really
like I
is
would love
him.
him.
Yeah, that's him. I'm more methodical. I ask questions. I say, "Okay, how long do I have to pay?" Like, so his famous saying at the time was, "Hey, if I don't sell a stick, I'll have cigars for the rest of my life."
That's
So
true.
that's how that came. So that's how Espanola was born. My dad came to me and he said, "Hey, those cigars you got me, I ordered a bunch. Let's come up with a brand name." And I did some research about the island of Dominican Republic and Haiti combined, which is called Hispaniola. And I kind of made it a little sexier, calling it Espanola. And a lot of people confuse it with the island, with country of Spain and this and that. But no, the map on here is Dominican Republic. We've excluded Haiti from here and just focused on Dominican Republic. But the island of Haiti and Dominican combined together is Hispaniola, which is close to Espanola.
There
That's
you
it
go. I
right
got a
there.
good picture of it right there.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
So that line, the Espanola Connecticut, is still part of our core line of cigars. Right now, we only have two: the Española Connecticut and the Española Maduro. They're available in 4 sizes: Robusto, Toro, Churchill, and like a Bellicoso Figurado 6x52.
They are incredible.
Thank you, man.
He was kind enough, and I'll take these out to show everybody. The Connecticut, super good, really rich and creamy, really, really nice, beautiful soft wrapper, really velvety smooth. Overall, I would put this at a solid medium, maybe slightly medium plus, or not medium, I'm sorry, mild, slightly mild plus maybe.
Yeah,
Depending
maybe
on
like
your
a
palate.
4
I
out of 10.
consider it, yeah, I'd consider it more on the milder side, but I
Mhm.
had somebody try it. They thought it was a little bit stronger than mild. Um, but either way, with a great cup of coffee in the morning, that thing was great.
Yeah,
And then here is that Maduro, just that dark, deep, rich wrapper. Very, very good. Great retro hail. I would set this at a solid, for my palate, solid medium to medium plus, with maybe that final third coming in a little bit on the pluser side than the medium, if that's a fair description.
yeah.
This
Thank you.
one's really good. I would set this at a firm, for my palate, a firm medium. Um, the retro is good, slightly punchy at the very beginning of it, but then balances itself out by the time you finish it out of your nose completely. It doesn't continue that rise and burn above. So very blended, very well. All the cigars that I've tried from you have been very well balanced. Nothing's overly punchy. It's punchy where it needs to be, and then mellows itself when you want it to. So,
Great.
um, kudos on your very first limited cigar. This was
Thank you.
great, and I've been just dying to try this. And I told you I wasn't going to touch it till the show. Um, so there you go, Bruce, drink again. So as you guys as you got 10,000 cigars. So
Mhm.
where the hell did you start? Like, again, California, everybody, by the way, back in the 90s is a different environment than it is today
Absolutely.
when it comes to tobacco. So as he's telling this story, please take into consideration this is pre Schwarzenegger. This is pre craziness.
Yeah.
And so just keep that in mind as he goes through. It doesn't have all the crazy taxes they do now.
Yeah, I
So
think around
where'd
that
you
time it
start?
was close to 30% tax. We're around 60 now. Um, Very easy, so when we got this initial shipment, we decided to go with coffin style boxes, similar to the Avos at the time, cedar boxes, 25 in there. And I was working out of my father's jewelry manufacturing. I had a back room where I stored the product, and I was doing shipping out of there. This is after my 1 or 2 courses at community college in '96. I said, I would go to school and then go back, do the shipping, and then go home. That was my day. Yeah. So it's this, and after a while, I said, "Oh my God, I can't do this. It's getting really hectic." So I actually dropped out of school, and ended up working full time in the cigar business, traveling to Dominican Republic and shipping product out. It wasn't until I met my girlfriend at the time in '98, '99, which she was going to UCLA, getting her PhD. And here I am, a dropout. So she kind of convinced me to go back to school. I ended up going back to school, applied to USC, got accepted, and got my degree in business marketing. So it all ended up being great, and I'm thankful for her.
Well, you are a better man than me. I went to community college, realized it wasn't for me, jumped into sales right away.
Mm-hmm.
I
Nothing
looked
wrong
for
with
the
that.
No, I looked for the one place, the one job that all I had to do was be me and be good at it.
There you go.
So as you're building this up, You got 10,000 cigars. You went back to school. How long did you sell? Did it take to sell those 10,000 cigars? Or are you still trying to sell them?
I'm going to tell you, Ryan, this is funny, but we sold out in about 2 days.
Holy shit.
2 days. Okay. To be fair, the 2 days consisted of the RTDA, which is now the PCA, which became the IPCPR, but the PCA trade show in Cincinnati. So RTDA Cincinnati comes about summer of 96. So we received, my first trip to the Dominican Republic was summer of 95. Fresh out of high school. I'm still 17 years old. I turned 18 end of 95. And I remember my uncle, my dad's brother, picking me up from the airport, pulling over, grabbing a big Presidente in a brown bag while he's driving, drinking, pulling over to a place where they were roasting pig. And my first experience was roasted pig, arroz con habichuelas, which is the rice and beans, and a nice bottle of Presidente. And I was like, I can get used to this. This is nice. So yeah, that was my first experience. So that was summer of 95. Come back, visited the factory, had a great time, met the master blender there, Papo, which we still work with, believe it or not.
Is Papo still around?
Papo is still around. Perfect. And he still blends. He was young at the time, probably in his 30s. He's now in his mid 60s. And we grew up together, Papo and I.
Oh, he's family at this point.
Yeah, Papo was a big mentor in the industry for me. And so, yeah, that was 95. We realized that the big trade show of the industry is the RTDA /IPCPR /PCA now. And so we sign up, we become members of the organization. We grab one booth, and I remember having like a printout sign saying, Española Cigars 1996. And we sold out within the first 2 days of the show. We didn't have any cigars left. I will say that as an 18-year-old, early 96, I tried to sell these cigars. I walked into a retail tobacconist in my area here in Los Angeles, and some were nice enough to kind of be like, sure, we'll take it. But others looked at me like, are you even old enough to smoke, son? So I was like, maybe I step back and I don't do the selling. I'll let the others, the people who have experience doing that. So I tried my hand at selling cigars at the retail level, but I was more of a marketing guy behind the scenes who was doing the packaging and not really the blending, but more of the sales strategy end of things. So that summer was the RTDA show in Cincinnati. And yeah, by day 2, we were sold out of product. So I would say by the time we received it and sold out, 6 months, but really the majority of the sales came at the trade show.
I'm still going to give that a 2-day, because listen, just because you show up with something doesn't mean anybody buys a damn thing. I've been to so many events that they've left with almost exactly what they brought. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you were able to move, we'll say 90%. We'll say 80% of those in 2 days. I mean, Mr. George did that, on the movie Blow. He did really well with it. So 2 days doing that's a huge feat.
Yeah, to the point where
and a lot of other companies can't say they've done that.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, in 1996, there was just a shortage of tobacco where people were like, "Hey, I need to fill my stores. So, what do you got? I'll take it."
He's too humble, guys. He made a great product and it's sold.
That being said,
now he's being humble.
It was a great blend. Connecticut's at the time were kings.
Oh yeah,
everybody had a Connecticut. Yeah, good starter cigars. So I would say that a lot of people who got into smoking cigars early on in the 90s had one of their first cigars had to be a Connecticut cigar because they were nice, smooth, creamy, rich, but not overpowering.
Well, the world wasn't. I mean, it's the U.S. It's the U.S. market that pushed the strong, high horsepower, heavy pepper, really full blended cigars. I mean, you go back through, time, most of them, even today, even your strong, what's considered your strong Cuban on most American heavy cigar smokers would be a medium at best, in
Yeah,
my opinion. So
yeah,
that's just how it was. And as many people say that, oh, there's always Connecticut's just they still sell the best. I mean, they still sell the most.
yeah. I enjoy it in the mornings, definitely with a
Love
cup
it.
of coffee. Yeah.
Love the Connecticut in the morning. As you're going through now, you've graduated, you're taking a little bit more of the reins.
Yeah.
What is the first thing that you do when you're given the keys to the playhouse?
So, late '90s, it wasn't as easy as showing up to a trade show and selling cigars. We didn't sell out. The next order cigars was like 25,000 cigars, and that took us a little longer to sell. The next order was also another 25, and that took even longer. So it became challenging to sell cigars just because everybody started getting into the business, and the market got flooded with cigars. So much so that a lot of people couldn't move product and they were dumping it. So if it cost them $1.50, they were selling it for 50 cents. And these are premium cigars. We're talking about long filler cigars being
Oh yeah.
sold to catalog companies or big retailers who had heavy pockets or deep pockets, I should say, and they were coming up buying inventory at the time. And here we are trying to sell a $3 wholesale cigar, and they said, no, we can get the same cigar, basically. Sorry, but we're going to pass this time. Which at that time got me thinking, like, okay, how do we do this? How do we stay in business? And that was creating a value priced cigar, keeping our core line of Española for the cigar enthusiasts who were enjoying our cigars at the time, kind of not dropping it at 100%. And so creating another line of cigars that was price conscious for the value priced cigar smoker, for the daily smoker who smoked 3 to 4 cigars a day, that it wasn't hurting their pocket or wallet. And that's how JM's Dominican was born in 1999.
So that's the JM Dominican in '99. That was more of
Yes,
your price conscious cigar. That has been your biggest seller, correct? If I'm
that's
right,
our bread and butter. Yeah,
that's your bread and butter,
we move a ton of cigars a year of those.
even still today.
Oh yeah, still outsells my Españolas maybe 20 to 1. We sell, close to 2 million cigars of those a year. It's a ton of cigars.
See, there's nothing wrong with a great bundle or budget cigar.
Mhm.
I find I enjoy those if I'm out with buddies. I could have 2 or 3 where I'm not having to sit there and go, oh, let's taste this.
Yeah.
You could have those. So I'm always looking for a really good bundle, a really good something I can take out fishing, something you don't have to pay attention to. And those are hard to find. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not going to name any names, but the biggest selling bundle cigar I don't like. And I
Mm.
think we all know who it is and what it is. It's just not up my alley. So I like finding really good bundles to keep around. What does those go for today per
So
cigar?
those retail for under $5.
Under $5. So where do people find Bruce? I know Bruce is going to go on and Bruce is going to buy. Where
Mhm.
can Bruce buy your stuff if they want to find?
Okay, so if you want to buy our Española line of cigars, foxcigar.com has them. Famous Smoke has them. Bestcigarprices.com has them. And these are all customers of mine from back in the day. So JM's Dominican is they have all of the whole line, which is 6 different blends, 8 different sizes. So it's a ton of cigars. So JM's Dominicans are available at Famous Smoke, Cigars International, bestcigarprices.com, paylesscigars.com. Yeah, a ton of different online retailers carry it. Just a quick, search on Google, you'll be able to find it. But I would recommend buying them from the online retailers that I mentioned: Famous, Cigars International, Best Cigar Prices. Those are my top three. And as far as Española, same. Fox Cigars, one of our biggest retailers who carry them. Famous also carries our Española line. I think they carry just the Year of the Dragon, actually. And bestcigarprices.com also carries them.
Now, when the Year of the Dragon's coming out as the first limited run,
Yeah.
Española has been around the brand for a while.
Yeah.
JM Dominican's been around for a while. Are you having to revitalize the brand a little bit, kind of as you're coming into this kind of second boom or the tail end of the COVID boom in the cigars? Are you revamping the brand? Obviously, to an extent, you are, because you have the Year of the Dragon. So what are you doing to bring the brand into the 21st century, 22nd? Something.
Yes. So we kind of went away from that traditional style wood box with the coffin type lid, and we put it in a more traditional box that kind of talks about the first third, the second third, and the last third of the cigar, with the flavor profile kind of at the bottom. So all of our Española cigars, when you open the box, there's a life-size image of the cigar with the flavor profile underneath and a strength gauge. And it tells you what the wrapper, binder, filler is as well. Before, none of that information was available. It was just, Connecticut wrapper or, Maduro. It didn't really talk about the blend much. So now we're kind of trying to educate the buyer. It's more of like a shelf talker on the cigar box itself. So we've done some repackaging of the Española line, and adding some new sizes actually this year. So 2016 was the revamp of the boxes. This year we did, which ended up being our 20th anniversary. But because the cigars weren't around much, it was hard to kind of bring out an anniversario type edition of our Española cigars. It was more of a re-release in 2016, kind of a big push to move the product.
Kind of a reintroduction of the brand, revamping, you get the dust off, redo it.
Yeah, because we have the expertise, we know tobacco, we know
Sure.
the manufacturing, and so why not release a premium cigar, and why be stuck in that value price category when you can produce really nice premium quality cigars?
So I'll be honest with you. I think producing a really good bundle stick is harder than producing a really good premium long filler. I think, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people that disagree with me out there, but just hear me out. Your bundle stuff, you're dealing with a lot of scrap. You're dealing with a lot of leftover stuff. You're dealing with some of the lower end priming. So you have to turn that into steak.
Yeah.
And if you can do that really well, the premium cigar world is wide open, because if you can do that with a lower quality tobacco, take that skill to a higher quality, the premium line, this, like it if that does that make sense? Like, it correlates.
No, you're absolutely right. Right. What happened with us is that we didn't want to produce a bad cigar. We didn't. So although we had scrap tobacco, and when we talk about scrap tobacco, this is premium tobacco that had,
yes,
it was broken, or it was not for
yeah,
and so all the loose ends that the trimmings of the cigars that we were using for Española, we just had ton of cigars for 4 or 5 years. We didn't know what tobacco. We didn't know what to do with that tobacco, and that's how JM's was born. We said, let's reuse that, but our binder was long filler and our wrapper was premium. We were using Connecticut broadleaf binder because my dad had my father. It's not cheap, and he had a relationship with a farm in Connecticut that we were buying their seconds, the binders, the Connecticut broadleaf seconds that they were, not being able to sell at a premium price. So we said, you know what, we'll take all of your seconds. So All of our cigars are with a Connecticut broadleaf binder and a very expensive wrapper. We're talking about $20-$25 a pound wrapper
Oh
for
yeah.
budget cigars. And so,
Yeah.
like you said, the bundled cigar, we took that bundled cigar, we put a nice band on it, and put it in a box. So our cigars are available in boxes, not bundles. And to kind of further reduce cost, we put them in boxes of 50. So JM's is available in boxes of 50 cigars.
That's great. I like, and I didn't mean to. I just say bundle budget as to kind of be all
I get you. Yeah.
um that's you're 100% right. Take that chop, turn that chop into steak, sell it, and now you have two lines. You have a budget and you have a celebratory, and now with your limited run you have another celebratory.
Yeah.
So as you guys are coming to 2016, you're kind of re-releasing this stuff. What has been your biggest push to kind of get your name out, other than the show circuit that you're doing? What have you been doing to really push this into the market?
Yeah, so we kind of had a steady customer base buying our JMs for the longest time. We had, loyal customers that said, that kept asking us, what else do you have? What else do you have? What else do you have? And that kind of pushed us from our original JMs Sumatra line to come up with a Maduro line, and then to come up with a Connecticut line, which became our third, and then to come up with a Corojo line in the JMs Dominican. So we kept kind of offering newer blends, kind of stronger tobacco, and then a milder version with the Connecticut's. But, with our loyal accounts, it was easy to move our Española. So we would do kind of a cross promotion with our JM, saying, hey, if you buy X number of cigars, we'll throw you in a new premium line that you probably aren't familiar with right now. But just give it a shot. It's going to be no charge. You're already buying a ton of JMs from us. So here you go, one box, put it out there, give it to your favorite accounts, or your customers. And, we got feedback from them. Our sales, our sales reps out on the field, our customers, our retailers, they're our eyes and ears out there. We learn from them. We continue to learn from them. And they really tell us how the market is moving, which direction it's going, and what is kind of needed. So that was kind of a big push for us in order for the Española to kind of go through our loyal accounts. They were kind of getting the word out. But, other than that, we really didn't do any type of advertising. We thought it would be a big risk to spend a ton of money on advertising. And so we said, you know what, let's start ground level. It's not like this is the only cigar we have that we got to put all our eggs in this. Let's slowly start, kind of like drip feeding the accounts with them, and have naturally them reordering. And that's kind of what's happened with our Española line.
I want to get back into the California side a little bit, because I want, and this is not to harp on the state. Like I told you pre-show, if it wasn't for politics, I would live in California.
Yeah.
I think California should be split into 4 states, because it's not fair for one state to have that much beautiful country contained and housed in one state. You can almost go all year long with snow, mountains, beach, desert. Like, it really is, in my opinion, the only 4-season state that this country legitimately has.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me upset that I can't be there, because I just can't afford to be there. But I want to kind of talk about what it was like, and kind of how that industry has changed in California, because I want people to understand, watching this, that this could happen to every state if people kind of lose track of it, which is what I think a lot of what California's problem is it happened so small step that out of nowhere they just woke up and went, how did all this come into play? So let's go back to 90s. What was the tobacco world like in California in the 90s versus coming into 2000s and then today?
Yeah, so it's much less regulated. First of all, the taxes weren't as ridiculously high as they are now, and you didn't have oversight and legislation kind of dominating everything that you do. It was easier to sell cigars at the time, um, and it was kind of more profitable. As soon as we started getting the heavy taxes of cigars, you saw people in the industry leaving the state. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, because we love it here. I have a ton of family here. My wife has a ton of family here. We were fortunate enough to have other businesses in the state that we were operating. And so, the hit on the tobacco tax wasn't as much as somebody who was strictly selling cigars and in the cigar business. So we kind of leaned on
You
the
guys
other,
were diversified.
definitely diversified. Well, we kind of leaned a little bit on the other businesses at the time. But, for us, having a value priced cigar at the time was kind of a blessing. The market going
Yeah.
the market going bust forced us into having a lower priced cigar. So we were able to sell more of our cigars in the state. Now, California has become my number one state. It has been the number one state for us for a very long time, and that's just because you can smoke, year round here. You can definitely be golfing year round. You can definitely be outdoors, hanging out in certain parts of the state, camping and hiking, and be just outdoors fishing and whatnot, almost year round.
I'm jealous of California.
So it's kind of easier, but for the premium guys who were selling, the $10-15 sticks, I can name 5-6 right off the top of my head that just kind of either moved to Florida or shut down completely their businesses. So yeah, for us, family played a role in staying. The value price cigars of JM's Dominican helped us stay in the business and kind of ride that wave, and not be completely bankrupt because nobody's buying cigars anymore. So those factors kind of played. Look, I'm born. This is where I was born. I was born Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. Yeah, born in Los Angeles. Raised. My parents immigrated here. My dad's from Lebanon. My mom's from Armenia. They met here in California. They got married here in California. So I'm raised here, and it's going to take a lot more than tobacco tax for me to leave.
Oh yeah, like we talked about pre-show.
Yeah,
You can make and save, if you want to actually make a lot more money going somewhere else, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze for you because
definitely.
like your family reunions would have to take up like a whole hotel probably in Florida, and that's awesome because like we talked about, I literally said to you, I guarantee you probably have at least one or two family members a good stone's throw from your house, and you'd said yes, absolutely. You named off everyone. So you are so ingrained in the community, it makes sense why it's not worth the squeeze. And 15 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe that changes. But
Yeah,
as it
maybe
sits
so.
right now, it's not worth it for you. So what does California show any love for direct tobacco companies contained and housed in California versus like Rocky Patel, it's all in Florida, just throwing a brand out?
I don't think so.
So you don't get any special lower tax rate than outside coming in, anything along those lines.
So I used to be. They used to only allow you to be licensed in the state of California if you were operating out of California. Now you can obtain a California license out of state. So, for example, somebody from Florida will have the same advantages as I do, meaning I pay tax for all my customers in California. They all receive California tax paid product from me, which means that when I buy my cigars from my distributor in Florida, which is imported from manufacturers from Dominican Republic, I pay tax when I sell it into the state. And that's 60% based on my cost. Now, my cost from my distributors is much lower than what I would sell to a retailer. For example, a box of cigars that cost $100, they'd have to pay $60 tax on that box of cigars. Now that $100 ends up costing them $160. So if I can pay tax on that product, call it $30 versus $60, I save them $30 a box. But now, I think in the last 5 years, people outside of manufacturers outside of California are obtaining California licenses and paying tax for their in the California accounts based on their cost of purchase rather than the cost of sale. So it's kind of the advantage for me to be in the state is kind of gone now.
Okay, see, that's not right. If you're in that state, you should have a lower overall tax. Obviously,
Yes.
at the POS, it's harder to do that, but as an overall, you should have a lower tax than anybody on the outside.
Yeah, and that's the fight we're having with the organization that we belong to, the CART, California Association of Retail Tobacconists. We fight them that. We fight, they're out of Sacramento, San Jose area. So they're close to the state capital, and so there's a team out there who fights on our behalf on all this legislation. And unfortunately, it is what it is here in California. We do our best, but we just take the punches and keep on rolling.
See, no. Okay, POS. That piece of shit. That would be the governor. But I digress. POS is point of sale, so like your register, the register versus. I do have a thing. So we had a question over here that said you guys do sell infused.
We do have some flavored cigars, yeah. Honey.
Okay.
Our JM's Dominicans are honey. We have 4 of them: honey, honey vanilla, honey rum, and honey berry. They're a sweet tip cigar, kind of naturally sweetened. And flavor infused. The honey is a regular cigar that has a honey tip to it.
Okay, so Bruce, what I'm smoking, the Maduro, the Connecticut from Espanola, those are not flavored.
They are not.
The JM Dominican line that has a few flavored in that.
Yes.
So right here, Bruce, again, Calabasas, they outlawed smoking outside.
Yeah. Yep. In Burbank as well. You cannot smoke outside.
I don't know if you're as a like you can keep everything else there, but you may have to pay how things go, move the tobacco side of the company of the diversified businesses. Just it sounds like it's just city after city in California has just gotten worse, which is crazy to me because California has some of the most prominent celebrity-driven cigar smokers on the planet. I mean, you go back to, George Burns was California. Like his main company, his pipe tobacco company that he bought locally, mixed all of his own. It's like you think California has a wide smoking history, and it's just done a massive 180. Yeah. Hollywood was all cigarettes, all tobacco, all pipes, all cigars. Every bad guy had a cigar. Every good guy had a cigarette or a pipe.
Unfortunately, with tobacco, it's hard to kind of smoke in front of another person without kind of bothering them. Versus alcohol, it's all day. You can do what you want. You can drink, and it's okay. But with cigars and cigars especially, bothering your neighbor becomes an issue.
Smoke all the joints you want, though.
Exactly, right? You can do that, but no cigars. But yes, Ryan, to go back to what you were saying, it is something that we have discussed here. Opening up a distribution center in Florida, it would save us a ton of money. It's just, going back and forth with me having kids. It's really difficult to be able to do that.
No, it's a big undertaking. Yeah. I mean, you would have to also hire or put a family member in charge.
Yeah.
That you absolutely trust to do the right thing, unattended, and that becomes hard as a business owner. One thing that is a consultant, is a business consultant in many ways, one of the hardest parts of my job is convincing a business owner to step back.
Mm. Mm.
And not step back from the business, but step back and let somebody else have a voice in the company that might have a better idea or a better grasp or understanding. And it doesn't sound like that was anything that your family had an issue with as far as like letting you take over and kind of running with it. But that definitely is, as you get older, your kids get older, hopefully taking over some of these businesses that you own. That's definitely something that you're going to have to consider on is, which one's going to do the best type deal, and that's a hard decision to make. And as somebody that was handed, not handed, I don't mean it like that, but that was started companies with their family, what has been some of the hardest obstacles? Because you have a very tight knit family, just for the few minutes we talked. Yeah. And what that means to me is I'm Greek. I know I don't look like it, but my brother looks like it. All right. My grandpa is right off the boat, first generation, amazing, born here in the U.S. Greek. So like, I know what it means to have an involved family. Yeah. Because like even when you tell them to back off, it's never like a whole lot. So yeah, how hard has that been to have that family dynamic going through ups and downs in various companies, keeping that family life not personal? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and it has been a challenge. Look, it hasn't been all rainbows and sunshine here at JM Tobacco. We've had our struggles. There are times where we said, what if nobody buys any more cigars ever from us? It's one of those things where you keep questioning it. How long is this ride going to last? So, my father and I work together. We continue to work together. He comes to the office every day. And so the dynamic is there. It's old school dynamic versus new school. He's got his ideas, of how he wants to run the business. I have ideas of how I want to run the business, and we clash often.
Who wins? Because it's paper versus digital is essentially what we're talking about here. Who wins?
So, most of the time it's me agreeing with my dad and then me doing whatever I want. It's like,
what? That is a great lesson. Sometimes in business, it's better to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, the Year of the Dragon, he was against it. We've never done anything limited edition. For him, he was like, it's a gimmick. It's not going to work. And I told him, I said, hey, listen, this might bring the core line out, of the dust. Like it'll bring it up. It'll get people talking about Española. And it did that. It did exactly that. With the Española line, especially the Year of the Dragon, it was more of a ask for forgiveness later. But other things, my dad handles a lot of the back end stuff, meaning we have farmland in San Andres, Mexico. He visits that. He deals with the farmers. He deals with the growers and also the factory level. He loves traveling. God bless him. He's 75 years old now, and he has as much passion, if not more, about cigars in the industry as he's ever had. So he's, the dynamic kind of works for us. He lets me do my thing. I let him do his thing. So I know that he produces or he manages good tobacco. I know that what we're receiving at the factory is quality stuff. And so at that time, it's easy to kind of say, okay, you got this, I got that. It works. And, sometimes he has ideas on the marketing end. I said, Dad, please, I got this. Sometimes I have ideas at the growing, and he says, son, stick to what you do. And
did you tell him the phone book's not a thing anymore? I used to sell into the phone book a long time ago. It shows my age. Okay.
Yellow pages.
Yeah, right. That's what I used to work for a long time ago. one of the things I love about this is your dad is so still. My guess is he smokes everything that comes out of the factory for sure.
For
And
sure.
he probably smokes it before you do.
Yeah, it does.
How much of his palate versus your palate is in the brand, or would you say it's an equal mix? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. For example, my dad is the type of guy who smokes 4 to 5 cigars a day. It'll be in his hand all day. So it needs to be something that is kind of on the mild to medium end. So, as you know, in the early 2007 to 2010, Nicaraguan tobacco started gaining popularity, and that is a rich, full flavored, full bodied tobacco. And so, for me, I was always to him saying, we need to come up with something stronger. We need to come up with something stronger. The market now needs a full-bodied cigar. And he said, no, this is perfect. This you can smoke this all day. I said, yeah, but maybe somebody just wants one cigar after a steak dinner. And our JM's is not for him. The JM's is a golf cigar you can smoke front nine, back nine. It's a cigar you can have out on the boat. It's a cigar you can pass out to friends easily because they don't cost you much. It's one of those shareable cigars. You a walk the dog cigar, a yard work type cigar. But to be able to get into the circles that we wanted to, especially here in Los Angeles, Hollywood, you really needed to have that premium, strong cigar that you can kind of market in a way that it's, a more luxurious item, not a knockaround stick. I kind of needed to convince him to that yes, although we do need the everyday cigar, we need something else a little bolder, a little stronger as well. So, yeah, he has his flavor profile, but so do I. The reason why I ended up kind of, I don't want to say blended this cigar because I wasn't the one who blended this, but they sent me 4 samples of the Year of the Dragon, and this is the one I chose just because it had more of a kick to it, a little bolder cigar. The rest were kind of in the medium, mild to medium range. And my family, my father-in-law smoked cigars, my brother-in-law smoked cigars, I smoked cigars, and forever I was caught smoking like Cubans all the time rather than my stuff. And same with my brother-in-law, he smokes Cubans. He said, "No, I'm good. Yours is good, but sorry, no offense, blah blah blah." And I wanted to create something that my family would take pride in smoking, and same
Sure.
with me. And so that was the development of this. So my palate was more of a Cuban cigar palate. I never really got into smoking the I would say more of the milder cigars. Like I said earlier, I love the Connecticut. I love our blend, but I really liked kind of, because I didn't smoke much. If I was to smoke a cigar, I wanted to kind of have a cigar that kind of was full-bodied, full-flavored cigar. So that was the type of cigar that I wanted to create with the Year of the Dragon, and I think we did a really good job with this.
And
a lot of
real quick.
of course.
I think that is a lot with age. And I've actually had this discussion with a lot of people. The younger generation, because you're not much older than me. I know I look older than him, everybody. We're not far off, okay? The younger population under 50 is asking for the stronger stuff.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
it is. So I've actually had this discussion with several people in the industry. It kind of goes on like a curve, right? It's like everyone starts Connecticut, goes a little stronger, and then eventually kind of finishes up with the milder as you get older, that nicotine hits you differently.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of that, your father's apprehension to it was just his own palate, not necessarily wanting that stronger one.
I agree.
And you, which represents that younger generation, makes total sense why you were like, if I'm only going to smoke one, I want a Mustang GT. I don't want a a Tempo. Like I want something a little bit faster, a little bit
You nailed it.
stronger. You know,
Absolutely.
And so that totally makes sense where that pushback came with your. Now, would you agree with that as far as like, would you start light and then eventually you still finish light?
Yeah, my first cigar was the Connecticut cigar, and I remember smoking it all the way to the nub. I was like burning my fingers. It was so creamy, so smooth. And I said, wow, I thought cigars were like the harshest thing in the world. And now, here I am smoking a creamy, smooth cigar. I'd be like, oh, are all of them like this? And no, they're not. But yeah, for sure, I started smoking the Connecticut's. That was my first cigar at 18.
So Richard kind of beat me to this. This was my encompassing around talking to you about, your blend, your dad's palate, your palate. Are we looking for anything additional in the works, either this year, coming out next year? Where do we see that Espanola brand?
Okay, so because of the success that the Year of the Dragon has had, we are bringing the Year of the Dragon to our core line. We're adding it to our tan cream color boxes you see kind of behind me,
Yep.
and the black one as well, which is on Maduro. We're adding a red box, and we're calling it Española Corojo. So we're adding the same blend to the Corojo line, so that I hate limited edition stuff just because if our customers or anybody who smokes it likes it, are they never going to be able to smoke it again? And so what we decided to do is bring this to our core line of cigars. So next year at PCA, we'll be introducing our Española Corojo in boxes of 20, same blend as the Year of the Dragon. They just won't have the Year of the Dragon label on it.
So to your point, I heard somebody, I forgot who it was. I think it was the owner of Matilde Cigars. He was like, I don't like limited edition, that term, for exactly what you just said. He
Mm-hmm.
uses the terminology of limited production.
Mm.
So when it's done for the year, it'll be back next year, but it's done for the year.
Yeah,
That is different in his mind than a limited release, which is one and done.
yeah, because it's very hard to be able to keep these cigars consistent. There's a lot of factors that come into play as far as production, the year of production of the tobacco, and all that. So what we're doing with the Corojo is kind of making sure that the blend consistency is there, the fermentation process is kind of the same, the leaf selection is the same part of the leaf of the plant, the construction and the rolling. These all have factors in the taste and the flavor. So keeping the cigars at a controlled environment, if it adjusts here and there, you might lose some of the oils from the tobacco, and it can taste very different from, even if it's the same blend, it can just taste very different. So, controlling temperature, controlling humidity, also ensuring and securing the same tobaccos that you're buying from the same growers. At this point, the wrapper is Ecuadorian Corojo, but the binder, which is a San Andreas Maduro, we control that. We're growing San Andreas binder wrapper, which we're using for binder in Tuxtla, San Andreas. And so, it's difficult to be able to keep the quality and consistency the same in your core lines. Of course, all cigars are going to be different. Even if it's the same cigar, it all depends on what you ate or drank. That is going to change the flavor profile of your own palate. So, as best as we can do, plus minus 10% of of a give, it's going to be the same blend.
The other aspect to that is the limited runs are not a bad dipping your toe in, okay? Because like you had said, you don't have to do 10,000, but what you can do is find out if it could be a production cigar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was that always the intention of releasing a limited edition for the Year of the Dragon, is to see the impact in the community to determine if that you can go? Because I think that's a smart way to test if it can be a production blend.
That is actually very, very smart. I didn't think of that. The idea behind Year of the Dragon was kind of to promote the Española brand itself. That was the idea. Yes, you have a Connecticut, yes, you have a Maduro, but we were able to kind of enter the market at PCA this year with something special, because our Española Connecticut's, our Española Maduros, although great cigars, weren't really special. So we were able to kind of grab the consumer's attention with the limited edition, only 500 boxes of these. So yeah, we did 24 cigars, 500 boxes. So I think there's 12,000 cigars that we initially made of these, and now we're making more so they can sit for the next 6 months, ready for PCA. But yeah, the intention behind it was kind of to promote the Española brand, not necessarily to try this blend to give it. And so when this blend did receive the accolades that it did, for example, it got a 93 rating in the Cigar and Spirits magazine, which is amazing. We're thrilled about it. We actually almost can't believe it. Up for Cigar of the Year as well. So we're really excited about that, and we said we can't let this one just go. We absolutely can't let it go. It's blended to perfection, and it's kind of received the accolades. To back that, why not bring it and add it to our core line? I don't want to see it go away. My customers don't want to see it go away, and yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Well, I think moving forward, I really do like that idea of testing a limited edition run and just being honest with the public and going, hey, listen, if you guys like it, we'll make it production. Because I think that's a great way for a small company to be able to test that, because the reality of it is it's the reorder that what makes you money. It's never that first order. So if you got a lot of people asking for it, why the fuck wouldn't you put it in production?
You're absolutely right.
It's always been one of those things that, like, I understand some companies just have so much in their portfolio they could do that, but like there are full brands, and I've got one of them that's a sponsor of the show that started off limited edition runs, that started off small batch runs, and made a huge cult following. And so I think that's awesome that you guys brought this as a limited run, recognized the success, and then moved it to core. So at what point in time did you look at your dad and go, told you so, old man, told you so? Right? You had to have. Don't even lie. Don't even lie. I got your dad coming on next week. I'm asking you. Don't even lie. Don't lie.
Internally, Ryan, I say that every single order that comes in for Year of the Dragon. Internally, that is exactly what's happening. But I would never say it out loud. He's got too much pride.
Oh, man, are you kidding me? I long for the day that I could once tell my father, I told you so. Like, that would be amazing. I've never been able to actually do that. So, well, as you're growing, as you're getting yourself more out there, are you looking to add Lance? And I'm only asking this, I'm a Lancero whore. I will be up front. I am the guy that buys boxes. Are we looking to add that style? And I say elegance because the Lancero is a very elegant cigar, in my opinion. Are you a Lancero guy? Are we going to see different sizes and vitolas of the Year of the Dragon, or what will be the Criollo or the Corojo?
So Lanceros, actually, I think my first Lancero was a Cohiba Lancero, which I really, really enjoyed. But we're going the other way, Ryan. We're doing a 6x60 double Toro.
Well, you'll make Bruce happy. Double Toro? Wow.
So yeah, we're in the works of adding a 6x60 to both our Connecticut and Maduro line, and eventually to the Corojo line as well. So
I get it.
There's a big following for that. Actually, Ryan, that Lancero is a very difficult cigar to produce.
It is.
It really is.
That's why I am super loyal to brands where I'm like, the brand. I have a rule: if the brand owner doesn't smoke Lanceros, I won't smoke theirs, because that's something to me where it's like they are so hard to roll. And if I know the brand owner's a heavy Lancero, I know they're going to be perfect.
Yeah, I give credit to the manufacturers who roll a Lancero. I think that is a very impressive kind of ring gauge to be able to get it out naturally. Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
No, not a problem at all. Where do you see JM 5-10 years from now?
Very good question. We're just going to keep our head down and keep grinding. I 5 to 10 years from now, my son will be 20, 25 years old. He's 15. And I've kind of
free labor right now.
I've kind of like vowed that I don't want him in the industry. My father and I's relationship kind of has struggled because of the business. When we get together, family barbecues, he asks me things like, hey, did you end up shipping that guy? Or did you add to production? What did you do with this guy? Tobacco is arriving next week. I'm like, your grandkids are here, enjoy them. He's a workaholic. The guy is literally working constantly. So I don't want that type of relationship with my son. I want him to be successful. I am going to give him all the tools to be successful. But, this business will be here. If he says, Dad, I really want to get into this, maybe, but I'm not going to push it.
So let's talk on that for a second, because I've heard this from a lot of business professionals. You get people like Zuckerberg say that I don't let my kids use a screen. Or you get football players when they're asked, would you let your son play football? Hell no. From what I've gone through with my body. So it's interesting that, most of the time I'd love for my son to take over. What would it take the act of your son coming to you with a plan, a business? Because my guess is you wouldn't entertain this until after he graduated college, right?
Yeah.
So obviously for him to take over something, he has to have that business knowledge.
Yes. And I've thought about this. So I would kind of say that he almost needs to bring something to the table, meaning, a degree in finance, degree in law, or, outside of him finishing and getting his degree to kind of work somewhere for 5 years before coming here.
Okay.
That's what I have in mind. I don't want him to think that he's just going to breeze through college and have this to fall back on. No.
Okay, so I commend that. Shaquille O'Neal kind of has the same thing. His kids will not receive $1 of their degrees get inheritance, is what he said. So he requires his kids to have a degree before they get anything, because his whole thing is, if I give you something without you appreciating the work it took to get there, you'll never keep it. So I guess it's kind of on that same line. If he came up with a silver spoon in his mouth per se and goes, I'm going to run this company, he might not have the passion or the gumption necessarily to take it to where it could be.
That's right. Yes. And also, experiencing, the business world and kind of knowing how companies operate, and maybe bringing some of his expertise out there that, for 5-6 years, whatever, and bringing it to the table, because, at the end of his college, what kind of experience does he have in the outside world to come here? And so, and I don't want his experience to be just this, because many companies operate very differently than we do, and maybe they do a better job, and maybe he says, hey, let's do it this way, and I say, okay, and so I feel like some kind of like business know-how, accounting or finance, or business law would be very beneficial to us.
Well, it's also something that you as a father could feel comfortable that it's not the only thing.
That's right. If this doesn't work, he has a degree.
I had the opportunity to spend about 4 hours with one of the industry, in my opinion, gods in the cigar world. And, in him listening to his story, I think a lot of people would be shocked that when he went down to the factory owner looked at him. He says, "Why would I train you for anything? I've got 15 guys that know more about cigars than you will ever learn in your life." And he goes, "You know what you're going to do? You're going to sweep my floors for the next year." And it was 6 years working at a company before he touched tobacco to actually roll a cigar and blend his own. And
Yeah,
it's that same
there you
thing.
go.
It's that you will work and start at the bottom and learn. So would you require a business plan from your son if he wanted to kind of come in? Like, would you ask for something along those lines of like, I just want to, and I love this types of questions because that dynamic, when you look at the history of time and wealth throughout families, unless it's like a royal family, most business family lineages lose most of everything, if not sell off the company by the third generation.
Mm.
And in reading a lot about that, it's the father built it, the son saw the struggle of the father, went through it with the father on an extent, and then the grandson or granddaughter didn't go through those struggles that say you went through or your father went through, so you just don't have that connection, and they sell the business off or they make a bad decision. So how much of would you try to like stop that if that was a thing?
So, I haven't really thought that far because for me, it's always been like, I want you to do you. I don't want the path already kind of paved for him. Like it was for me. I often wonder what I would be doing if my dad didn't start this business in 95, 96. I wonder that. And could it have been some of my other passions in life that I have, like cooking, or who knows, but I often wonder. I'm also grateful, don't get me wrong, but I often wonder what my life path would be without cigars. I
And
want
that's
him,
it's a valid question for sure.
yeah,
But please
I
continue.
want him to find it.
One of the things I love asking people that have gone through a family business and gone through a business with the success that you have, 29 years, you've kept the doors open. That's a success. All
Thank you.
right. You've kept the doors open. It's paid the bills. It's paid for itself.
Yes.
It's making money.
Yeah.
That's a successful business. It doesn't have to be $1 billion company or a $40 million. It just has to be successful with the family. What are some of your mentors throughout your life outside of your father
Hmm.
that have coached you, brought you along, that have told you, suck it up, son, deal with it? This is life, this is business.
Hmm.
Who are some of those people and how valuable were they to you?
Yeah. So right off the top of my head, I think of my high school basketball coach.
Love it.
I mean, the guy really was a second father to me. Um, he really taught me how to be a man, how to take losses in life, how to be graceful in wins, and just learn that it's all about a team. And without a team, you have nobody. You by yourself, you can't do it. And that's what we have here. We have a team. Everybody from the growers to the rollers to my shipping guys to the salesmen on the ground. I can't do it. It's impossible to do it without them. So I would say he was a early mentor in my life. And then my master blender, Papo, at the factory when I showed up at 18, kind of took me under his wing. Every time I went to the factory, he would pick me up from the airport. He would make sure I was taken care of, kind of teach me everything he knows. He would do this like inhale of a tobacco leaf, kind of grab it, roll it, inhale it, light it up, pass it to me, I would try to do the same as he, coughing up a lung, you know. And so, I appreciate him and what he's done for us as a company, and what he's done for me as somebody who eventually ended up, president of a tobacco business, and just kind of made me confident in the tobacco industry, and gave me all the knowledge that he had. Of course, I'm still not at his level of expertise and tobacco knowledge, but still learning today, still learning from him. And like you said earlier, of course, my father had a big influence in my life as well. That, without being said, those two, my high school basketball coach, who I still have a relationship with, and
That's awesome, by the way. I love that.
Thank you. And our master blender, Papa, who's still with the company.
So you had mentioned something that your basketball coach taught you that I personally feel is a valuable lesson. No worries, Chris. How you doing, brother? Um, no, Bruce. I don't expect my daughter to be taking over this podcast in 20 years at all. She'll probably be a cigar smoker because her mother and I both are, but
That's
I don't
awesome.
think she will be. But you had mentioned something that I think is a very valuable thing, and I'd love for you to expand on it, because I think it is the most valuable thing in business that is the least underrated, because everybody's afraid to do that. What does it mean to you to take a loss?
It's humbling. It's absolute. I mean, look, if you won every time, what are you really learning?
Well, how do you know you're successful?
How do you know you're successful? And so for me, a loss means, okay, what did we do wrong? Why did we lose? And you take that, and it becomes a learning experience. So it's very valuable. I've had a lot of losses in my life, and I've learned from every single one of them. I really have.
Now, I'm a firm believer, like we just kind of talked about, without loss or failure. First of all, failure is only failure if you let it be failure.
Mm-hmm.
I think failure is necessity for business, because, like you had said, if you don't know then what you're doing wrong, if everything is always right, and then you're never really a good businessman, because you don't really have the experience. If everything's handed to you, you don't know what it's like to lose any of that. So if you would be so kind as to share with us a loss that you learned from, that came out, that you flipped around to be a big win for you in life.
Which one?
Whichever one you feel like sharing.
Yeah. So I think that it was more of a failure to be on time and do things the right way. I kind of missed out on a lot of good deals because I was out, partying or having fun. So it's more of a discipline thing that I learned from that. And one major deal was a real estate deal that I stayed out with, because I said, oh, it'll be there, and I ended up hanging out with friends and partying, and didn't show up to the meeting the next day, and I lost the deal. And and it's a building that's very close to us, and I look at it now and I'm like, oh my God, only if. So discipline, showing up, is a huge part. And now I'm never late to anything. I think I'm actually early to things. And it was a very expensive lesson for me, but a lesson nonetheless.
And see, it's only really truly an expensive lesson if you didn't learn from it. Because if you learned from it, then you paid for that experience and that knowledge. Paid for it with that loss, but you turn that into something that you will never forget. And showing up on time is something that I don't know why it's hard for people, and having that set hours as a business owner, time management is so hard because you
Yeah.
said you get carried away, you're whining and dining clients. Next thing you know, it's 2 in the morning. You're like, oh my God, I totally meant to be home by like 10. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta get up at 6 in the morning, take my kids here, I got a meeting here. I forgot who the rapper artist was, but he showed up. He was supposed to be doing a song with Eminem. All right. And he showed up to the studio at 5:15. And he calls Eminem up and he goes, hey, where are you? He goes, oh, it's 5:30 or whatever. I'm gone. Well, come back. Let's do the shoot. Let's do the studio. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow at 9. And what most people don't understand, that's a huge part of Eminem's success is that rigorous. I work from 9 to 5. After that, it's family, it's my life. That keeps everybody refreshed. And having a schedule that's all over the place doesn't do you as a business owner or the people you work with any good. So tell everybody how your day is regimented. What do you do when you get up? What do you kind of go through your daily? How do you get ready? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about my daily routine? Is
Yeah,
that
I
what you're
love
talking about?
that because when you listen to like the super successful, there's always differences in them, but the
Mhm.
one thing they always have is a regimented schedule around their workday. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious as to what does your schedule look like around your workday and how has that contributed to your success as you've become more experienced in business?
Yeah, so a big thing for me is I've always wanted to be around my kids. My father, like I said earlier, is workaholic. He would leave the home at 6:30, get to work at 7, come home at 7, have dinner, and we would kind of have an hour with him at night, if that. And so for me, I really wanted to spend time with my kids. So I take my kids to school every morning. If I can get up half an hour early, I try to be active in the morning, get up, either walk the dog or do a morning workout, jump in the shower, and that sets the tone for the day for me. I take my kids to work, and as soon as I drop the kids off and I'm driving to my office, it's already a sense of accomplishment for me. I feel like I've already kind of done something, and I've had that time in the car with the kids, and I mean, I say kids now. My son's 15, my daughter's 12. He'll be driving next year, my son. So
Oh,
um,
geez.
I can't believe it either. But I really enjoy that. And then I find this kind of peace driving to work. So when I get to the office, before I hop on the computer or anything, I like to sit in the office and kind of meditate, kind of envision the day, and it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then I hit the computer, check my inbox, check the bank accounts, and do whatever I need to do for the day. But I really like to, you know, have my morning family time, even if it's taking the kids to school, and then having that 5 to 10 minutes before I get my day started with kind of a mindful meditation of envisioning the day and letting thoughts just come and go, and it just brings me, it kind of centers me, and that's it. After school, my father-in-law picks up the kids and brings them to my office. So my kids are hanging out with me for the last half hour of the day, and we go home and have family dinner. My kids in sports, my daughter's in volleyball, my son's in soccer. So I love taking them to soccer. I love watching him play. It's a lot of the things that my father didn't do with me that I try to do with my kids.
What's one thing in your day you're unwilling to ever give up?
Whew.
Where you will tell your company to wait and hold on.
Yeah, it's my time, however long that is. Just me alone. Um, be it that 5 to 10 minutes of meditating, or just in my office gathering my thoughts. I really do need that time.
what does it mean to have business integrity to you?
Business integrity is just having respect for it all, having respect for the people, your customers, the people who have made it possible for you, and when you say integrity, ethics also come into play. Being ethical. We're not a hit and run type of company where we're going to hit you with that $100 cigar and we're going to take your money and go. We're here for the long run. We're here to bring something to the industry that's going to be talked about for a very long time. My father's initials are the company name, JM. So his legacy's at stake. So I think of integrity. I think of family, doing things the right way, and doing things ethically.
How many other companies do you own that have JM as the initials?
So my father's jewelry company is called JM Manufacturing. I don't have other companies named JM, but he does. So he had JM Plating, which is a plating business, JM Manufacturing, which was jewelry manufacturing, and we had JM Tobacco. And it was all under one roof. Where you answered the phone, you said JM.
So that name means a lot. Those initials mean a lot, and that carries a lot of weight on your shoulders.
It really does.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever? When do you feel like you will be separated from your father on the business side to where you'll be like, "This is mine"?
I don't think ever, Ryan. I don't think ever. I this feels like I'm raising my father's baby. It feels like I really am raising his child. I don't think it'll ever be mine. I hate to say it, but he's 75. I'm going to appreciate all the time I have with him. He's not going to be around very long. So every day that I do have with him really means a lot. So I just want to do him right. That's all I think about. Doing him right, the business right. And to answer your question, I don't think this will ever be mine.
And I understand that, and I do, and it's a way for you to keep, and you feeling like it's never going to be yours is always going to be your way of keeping your father around. 40 years from now, someone might ask you that question, and you go, "It's still not my company. I'm just holding it for when I see my dad again, and I give him the new cigar that we smoked."
Yeah, he's
So
absolutely.
here and kind of talking about some additional products to hopefully come out with.
Yeah.
Where do we see the Espanola line? Are we looking at potentially a new line coming from Jam just because the Espanola line is from '96? Are we looking at something maybe new that is yours exclusively that comes out? Like where do you see your stamp, Anto's stamp on JM?
Yeah, so I do have a lot of ideas, a lot of things in the pipeline for sure. We've been dabbling with E by Espanola line for a very long time, just the letter E, that's more of my flavor profile, bringing it into play. So I'm kind of waiting on the Espanola line to kind of have that success that I really want before we do anything that kind of is almost like a spin-off to the line.
What does that mean, success in that line? What does that mean? Because the line's, as far as I'm concerned, 30 freaking years, the line's successful. It's alive. I don't know how many companies come and go every single year that nobody ever even hears of. So the line's successful. So where's that success line for you?
To me, success means like, somebody coming up to for example, the Rocky Mountain cigar and be like, "Oh, I've heard so many great things about you, about the cigars." So I want it to be kind of
More of a household name.
More of a household name, known in the industry, that we have been around for so long, and that, oh yeah, I've heard about you guys, but I've never tried your cigar. That for me is a success. Even if they haven't tried it, at least they've heard about it. And a lot of the type of media tour that I'm doing this year and more next year, I think that'll get us closer to where I want it to go. And then, maybe not so much of my, take on a new cigar or something, but we're definitely going to have an anniversario out in 2026, which would be our 30th anniversary. And I'm kind of working on that as we speak.
Well, I want you back on the show for that 30th anniversary.
You got it. Sure. Maybe sooner.
Oh, no, of course. I'm just saying, I'm just pre-booking you for that 30th anniversary.
Done.
Because I love small companies that nobody's ever heard. I can't say it nobody. Please don't take that the wrong way. That the mass market hasn't heard of, because it's like you guys are still like the punk band, right? That hasn't gone radio yet. You guys can still be very nimble. You guys create great stuff. You stand on your own 2 feet. And the success of this brand is going to take off and happen. And I love the fact that I like the fact that it's been a road, because you're going to appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And your customers are going to appreciate it more, because you're not a Rickroll. You're not a one-hit wonder. You've been around, you have a clientele. Yes. How much of your clientele is outside of California versus sales in California?
So I would say about 65% of our sales is in California.
Okay, so California really, really, really sells you.
Really, really.
That's awesome. And Bruce asked this question twice, so I'm going to ask it. Bruce, he's probably going to say no, as every blender should. Well, he didn't say master blender. So would you consider yourself a blender?
So for me, a master blender is somebody who has deep knowledge of tobacco. They have some type of blending experience. They have palate training. They have some experience in aging and fermenting tobacco, experience with construction, innovation, and if you're at the master level, some type of like mentorship. So I don't have that yet, but I would say I have a palate, I have a deep knowledge of tobacco, I have some blending experience. So I would say yes to that. I would say yes, I am a blender. I understand blends, and I do have a refined palate, and that palate is from me going to culinary school and refining my palate through culinary. My love for wine and the different regions wines are made. So I do have the palate for it. It's like you said, I have a hard time calling myself a master blender when, I am definitely not. So
I have actually, in talking with doing this for a while, with having a lot of people on, I have realized, I call Ricky Rodriguez a master blender. I call several other people. They're always the first to go, no, I'm not. And that's how you know they're a master blender, because it's kind of like a nickname, right? If you give yourself a nickname, it's probably lame, stupid, doesn't apply to you. So when you're in the Air Force, I have a few buddies in the Air Force that fly, and they've always told me the only nickname that ever sticks is what somebody gives you. And I'm a firm believer that master blender is a nickname, and it's something that somebody has to actually give you. If you take it, it's theft. It's a lie. Because the second you feel you're a master blender, just quit, right? Yeah. Because if you're a master, you have nothing to learn.
You know everything, and exactly. You have nothing to learn. Absolutely.
And that's where that title being given respectively means more than somebody taking it. So I love your answer, because the way you said it was, yeah, I'm a blender, but not really where I want to be. I hope to be more, but yeah, I guess you would call me that. Like, that's a humble answer versus, oh yeah, I'm a
Yeah, I know everything about tobacco. I know
yeah, like
everything about aging and
that,
fermenting.
that's because there's so many people, and I've had the privilege of talking with quite a few that have forgotten more about tobacco than I will ever know in my lifetime.
Mm.
And I'm sure you've run across Papo, like you've run across a lot of people like that. Like if you ask Papo that question, he probably wouldn't call himself a master blender, but you would call him one. And
Oh, for sure.
that's where that I love asking that question to people. So thank you, Bruce, because that really does show your own integrity and show your honesty.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, this is an industry that's always innovating, so we're always learning. Um, and there's new tobaccos. Like, for example, in the mid '90s, early 2000s, if you said Mexican tobacco, people would look at you like, "Oh, get it out of
Kidding
here,"
me?
And now all of a sudden, it's highly sought after,
Can't
and
find it.
San Andreas becomes one of the premier wrappers in the industry.
Absolutely. So here in closing the show, just throw in some lightning round questions at you.
Sure.
What is your favorite rapper? Now you can give me musician and cigar rapper or just cigar rapper. I forgot who it was that first threw in the musician side of it, but I am mainly talking about cigar rapper, but the answer is completely up to you.
Literally, I went to the musician rapper.
Everybody does.
I said, okay, well, this is an interesting lightning round. So I will say Tupac. I grew up a Tupac fan.
Good man.
Being from Southern Cali, Cali. But I have come to really like the Corojo wrapper. I love the color of it. It's got that reddish tone to it. It's got that spice, and also it's got that my flavor profile of full-bodied, full flavor.
What is your favorite pairing with a cigar?
Pairing with a cigar. Very good question. I'm a tequila guy. I love tequila.
He likes to get crazy.
I've stopped doing shots of tequila.
Parties.
I have it on ice now, so I'm more of an elegant tequila drinker. No more Jose Cuervo shots in Mexico.
Pinky up.
But having something to drink with a cigar, it all depends on the time and day. Like we talked about a Connecticut wrapper or a morning cigar with coffee, it's just unbeatable. But if I'm enjoying a cocktail or a stiff drink, I love tequila on ice. I'm also a Scotch guy. I love a single malt. Yeah, I don't do cocktails. I don't like mixing sugary stuff with my drinks. It just gives me a headache and a hangover the next day. So something pure, something that's refined is for the way to go for me.
Yeah, as mixed as I get as an old fashioned or a Manhattan. Outside of that, just a little bit of ice, maybe a little water, and just straight. So I agree with you. Bruce says, so no lime, no salt, just good tequila.
Yeah, no, none of
you
that.
only need lime and salt when you're drinking well tequila at a bar.
Yeah, perfect. to mask the sharp alcohol flavor.
So tell everybody what your suggested pairing is with the Year of the Dragon. Anything. And if you have a brand of tequila that you like that goes with it, please share it.
Okay, for sure. So what I normally drink with Year of the Dragon, which is what I've been smoking lately, is a Fortaleza tequila, and it's a Blanco. Although Blancos forever have been kind of looked down upon, this is a very refined Blanco. I do it on ice with a slice of orange. So I eat the orange peel to give it a little bitter as well. I as soon as I take a swig, I take a little nibble of the orange as well. And it kind of goes really well with the cigar. It really does.
Okay, so you don't get into the Schwarzenegger thing of brushing the cigar with tequila.
Dipping the cigar. No dipping here.
See, he has to do that with Cubans to give them flavor. That's my personal thing. I'm not a Cuban guy. Everybody don't hate me. I just think that Nicaragua, Dominican, Honduras has better tobacco, in my opinion, more to my palate. So, what is a tobacco that you would love to work with but don't currently?
Nicaragua. I would love to work. We have a JM's Nicaraguan line that's manufactured in Dominican Republic, but that's got just hints of Nicaraguan tobacco inside the filler. I would love a Nicaraguan puro.
Is there a region that you would love it on?
I mean,
Esteli.
Yeah. If I was to pick, unfortunately, I've never been. I'd love to work with one of the big guys out there, Fernandez's or Aganorsa or one of them. Terrence is a friend, Terrence Riley from Aganorsa. I saw him at the Rocky Mountain. Just a really nice, really nice guy that's available, anytime I need him. But it's also very hard for us to kind of produce anything outside of Dominican. I just haven't done it. I wouldn't even know where to start. So if anything, I would love to dabble in Nicaraguan tobacco.
And since you brought up Terrence, our thoughts go out to the Aganorsa.
The fire, unbelievable
fire that happened. It affected a couple of companies. Fortunately, it doesn't sound like it's going to be drastic.
Yeah.
But our thoughts go out to the Aganorsa company for that, for sure.
Yes.
So, okay, let's touch that really quickly, because that's a problem that happened last year or a couple of years ago with Adventura and Dominican. How are you guys making sure these fires don't happen? Because it seems like they just kind of happen out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's freak accidents. I don't even know if you can prevent. I mean, at the factory level, we've talked about it. They have fire prevention techniques that they have. Fire extinguishers and this and that. But it is a problem in the industry and something that we hope is not very common.
Now, do you think that's a problem because it's, again, please, this is not meant to be taken the wrong way, but because it's more of a third world country in that extent, they don't have the fire rescue, the fire departments. Does that make sense? I'm trying to not be like crude or rude.
I think that the majority of these have happened when there's a lot of tobacco stored in a facility and maybe just not really managed well. But I don't know if that's the case with what happened recently. It's a very good question. I don't know.
Thank you so much for watching your first time. So happy you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your night. Hopefully you tune in every Thursday. No, that's a big thing for a lot of companies. That's a big expense that happens.
Yeah, you use a lot of tobacco.
Yeah,
and then, of course, construction.
Correct. So, what is so we went through what's a tobacco you work. What's your favorite size?
I like a Toro. That's why the Year of the Dragon was a limited release in a Toro size. I feel like that's the perfect hour and a half cigar. And if and a Robusto is kind of too short for me to kind of go through all the flavor profiles. The Toro is just enough that you kind of hit all three flavor profiles, the first third, the second third. Churchill size would end up being a little too long for me. But I also do enjoy the 60 ring gauge every now and then if I have a little more time.
60's as big as I go.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go more than 60.
Well, It's Cigar Fest. I saw people smoking like 990s,
9 by 90.
like
Yeah.
880s, and I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, you get your whole day here.
Sure, but that's more of, I feel like that's more of a kind of a gimmicky item. It's not something you're going to have.
It's certainly not your traditional.
No.
So, what's one thing that you have seen in the cigar industry in 29 years that is not the same anymore?
Ooh, that's not the same. Huh. Now, are you talking about like, fire barrel kind of
Meaning,
tobacco?
like, what's something you've seen in 29 years that you never expected to see in the industry, a way it went, or what's something you used to do back in the 90s that couldn't fly today?
Yeah, so we're very, very traditional. So anything kind of outside of the traditional things like a 9 by 90, um, uh, it's just we don't kind of do. Um, hmm. Nothing really stands out as far as extraordinary. Um, yeah,
Just kind of the same as been going, just sizes change and profiles change.
we're very traditional. Yeah.
What does traditional mean? Like, define traditional.
So traditional for me means the traditional sizes. A Robusto, a Toro, a Churchill, and doesn't have the flavor profiles that some of the companies have, in the sense that it's uh, um, how do I even say it? Some of them have uh, these smoke kind of. What I'm thinking about is the fire tobacco.
Fire cured. The
Fire cured. There you go. Fire cured stuff. I think
That's not up my alley.
Yeah, I think we don't do that. The closest thing that we do that's not very traditional is our infused cigars, which is our honeys. So,
I would actually argue and argue that infused at this point is traditional, because
you see a lot of them.
there's two generations of cigar smokers that have grown up with an infusion of some kind on the market.
That's true.
I'm not talking gas station. Those are
Mm,
just cheap fake cigarettes made into cigars.
right.
But like infusions that you guys use with premium tobacco, I mean, Drew Estate blew that out of the water. That is now, in my opinion, a traditional cigar,
Got it.
because I think you would agree with me that a lot of people's first cigars are infused.
Yeah, definitely. I think people trying out want to kind of have something that's, I guess not as strong or easier to
Correct.
smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you want your brand to be seen when you're gone? I should say, how do you want the brand to be seen when you're gone?
Yeah, so I would say that I would like it for us to be seen as people who did it the right way, didn't really cut corners, no gimmicks, kind of let the cigar speak for itself, and said, those were hard. That was a hardworking company, family run, and they did it the right way.
So, last question of the night. I stole this from James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio, because I love this question. It's very introspective.
Yeah.
When you meet your creator someday, what do you hope to hear?
We touched on this earlier, and I would hope that he, she, it saw me doing things with integrity, and with respect for tradition, respect for the industry and just did it the right way.
What cigar would you bring with you?
Ooh. At this point, I have to say this Year of the Dragon blend.
It's phenomenal.
I really like
phenomenal.
it.
It's really, really
I'm
good.
biased, but I'm after this interview, I'm just going to keep smoking if it's going to.
I'm probably going to light up another one. I've been looking at this 4-pack in my humidor for a couple weeks now. So last question of the night comes from Richard. How many facings do you see for the future of your company?
Are we talking about like core line of cigars?
Mm-hmm.
So with the Corojo being added next year, that'll give us 3 facings in the Española line, and then eventually adding the Aniversario, and maybe with the Aniversario we'll have different blends of the Aniversario. So the Aniversario will be its own thing. It'll be a blend that we come up with. I'm not sure right now where it would go, but the Aniversario will have probably another 2 or 3 facings, so 6 in total, with 3 Españolas and 3 Española Aniversarios.
Amazing. I love it. I wish you guys all the success. You always have a home here at the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
This was great. Thank you for going down the rabbit trail of questions that I do. I hope I gave you something a little bit different than you've experienced on other shows as far as questions.
I love
you on
this
your toes
fun.
A little bit.
Oh yeah, super fun.
But well, I just appreciate because you allowed me to kind of go through and showcase the behind the scenes integrity of the brand, the people who are working with it, your father.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that you were willing to go down the rabbit hole of my questions. Yes, smoke what you like, smoke is off you beat me to it, Bruce. You can't say my tagline before the end of the show. So awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and you please, let's keep in touch. Anything you release, would love to have you back on to talk about it. We'll go through the story a little bit more in depth as well. I'm going to give you here the last little bit. Tell everybody how to find you, where to find you, and then we'll close the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This was an amazing show. You can find Española Cigars at our online retailers. Famous Smoke carries them. Cigars International carries them. BestCigars.com also carries them. We appreciate all the support that you guys give us, and look forward to next year with our Corojo line coming out and future projects like the Aniversario. Keep smoking.
Absolutely. And since Bruce already beat me to it, let me throw the comment up. Smoke what until we see you. Oh, hold on. You got me excited, Bruce. You got me excited. Quick shout out to all the sponsors that make this show possible. Micallef Cigars, Big Sky, Cornell and Diehl, Pipe Tobacco, La Aurora Cigars, West Tampa Tobacco Company, Cigar Clouds, our new one. Thank you so much for trusting and believing in the show that much that you support it. Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, BAMF Cigars, ROCF Cigars, Kristoff Cigars, Sagrado Cigars, and now, let me throw the comment up, Bruce, just because you did it. Yes, Richard, Bruce messed me up. Bruce, just like you said, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you can, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye-bye.